Hello, Georgia Voice readers. I'm Katie Burkholder, the deputy editor of the Georgia Voice, and I am here with the cast of the Gaily Dose, excuse me, a brand new Atlanta-based podcast for gay men who seek elevated, vulnerable conversation. How are y'all doing today?
Very good.
Great.
Awesome.
Fabulous.
Yes. So I will just jump right in. We'll start with some background on you guys and how you all got together, and then we'll move into the podcast itself. So if we could start with y'all just introducing yourselves and what you're kind of bringing to the podcast.
Sure, I'll start. My name's Helmut. I'm the founding creator, pull these guys together through various ways, and I'm just here to be one of the voices of a team of 4.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody.
I'm
I'm sorry, sir. Do you want to get started?
in order.
Be my guest.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
My name is Bennett. I am also one of the founders of the Gaily Dose. And the reason we're here is we just wanted to create kind of deeper conversation when it came to the conversations that we have within the gay community. And we wanted to invite others into that conversation.
Awesome.
I'm Stuart Terrell. Hello. Thank you for being with us today. Appreciate it. I am here because I would like to, like Bennett said, just kind of deepen the conversation more than gay men generally have out in public areas, and really delve deeper into the situations that we find ourselves in and how we can maneuver better throughout the world as gay men, and being very responsible citizens at the same time.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. I am Dante Rhodes. I am one of the co-hosts on the Gaily Dose, and my biggest passion for doing a project like this is just elevating not only my own thought process, but the thought process of everyone within the gay community to help elevate us as a community and push us forward to a happy, bright, intellectual, but fun place.
Awesome. Great. So if we could discuss how y'all all met and how this kind of project came to be, how did this venture transpire?
Are you familiar with polyamorous relationships? So this has been kind of awkward. That's why we don't have everyone on here.
No sexual relationship at all between us 4, for sure. Helmut, why don't you take this one and then I'll chime in a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I'll start just, I was looking for better connections in the gay community with really deeper friendships, and was frustrated to some degree. Sought out opportunities to do some peer mentoring, which I found in the community, and then actually started a game night. And that game night of men grew into a Q&A, and eventually Bennett was actually a member of that group and had the original idea of doing a podcast. We put it on hold during COVID. Circumstances were I lost my job, and I started looking for a way to invest my time. Called up Bennett, and here we are.
Yeah, so we started the game night off as just like, dominoes and cards and Jackbox on your phones, that kind of thing, where it was great, it was fun, but it also felt pretty superficial when it came to what you learn about the other people in the room. Very similar to what other outlets gay men use to meet each other, apps and bar and alcohol related activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just playing games, we had a mutual friend that was like, hey, why don't we come up with an idea of kind of throwing a question out there and then seeing who wants to respond to that deeper, more prodding question about their gay experience, their gay upbringing. And so it was a great opportunity because, Helmut and I knew each other through passing, but we really became truly great friends because of the fact that, we started learning more about each other's passions and struggles, and it really turned out to be something that was super fantastic. And so Helmut asked, like, hey, who do you think would be a great voice for this cast? And that's when I reached out to Dante, for obvious reasons.
Stuart, you want to chat a bit about our meeting?
Yeah, we Helmut and I met during COVID at a dinner party. So we just got to chatting, as folks do, and realized that there was a little bit more of a deeper friendship there that we were looking or I was looking for, like you say, you kind of take inventory or took inventory during the pandemic to really kind of figure out who is a true friend and who may not be. And we just kind of established a relationship there, kept talking, and then this possibility came up, and I jumped right in when Helmut asked if I wanted to be a part of it. I was like, yes.
Awesome. Dante, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so it was really interesting because I've been blogging for the past 5 years and I was very passionate about it. And I was wondering, like, what's next for me? Like, I want to do something more. I want to do something fun. I want to do something exciting. So I was on my way home from work one day when Zach called me and was like, hey, we're doing this podcast and I really want you to audition for it. I was like, yes, 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 yes. Because a week before that call, a psychic told me that I was going to be doing something like a podcast. So I was like,
Really?
oh, this is meant to be.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
And
So
Katie, I'll just add this, which is interesting. We also had many other people that we interviewed along the journey.
mhm.
It was interesting to let the people that were really drawn to the mission. Those are the 3 other individuals you see here. Each one of these individuals really put in extra time outside of their regular lives because they really felt like this mission resonated with where they wanted to be.
Awesome. So you're all, I know a few of you are originally from Georgia, but you're all now living in Atlanta or in the Atlanta area. I would really like to discuss, because I think it is, the gay Atlanta experience is a unique one. And I would like to discuss how you think that experience has affected you. And in particular, especially being in the deep South in Georgia and it being almost like a respite in a pretty, conservative red area, like how has that influenced you and how you view your own sexuality and yourself and things like that?
Absolutely.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Stuart.
I'm from rural Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And respite is a perfect word for Atlanta, not just for Georgia, but the tri-state area,
Mm-hmm.
even Tennessee, Mississippi, parts of northern Florida, the Carolinas. It lends a sense of comfort. It is a red state, but we've got this beautiful purple and then blue bubble in the middle where you can really be yourself more. So if you are from those rural areas and you can't find yourself, you can find yourself in Atlanta is what I find. It's even if it's transitional and you end up going to Paris or Dothan, Alabama afterwards, you just really find what you need to hear is what my experience has been with myself and many others that I've come in contact with.
My experience, I'd say, is a little bit different because I'm a little bit younger, but I also I'm not from like the outskirts of Georgia or in the country. I was raised in Metro Atlanta, like 25 minutes from the center of Atlanta. So I was always a little bit more easy coming to the gay lifestyle. It wasn't so taboo for me as it was for a lot of other people. And now growing into a gay adult has been very beautiful to be able to live so freely in a city like Atlanta that's so accepting and loving. But it can be a little interesting whenever you leave outside of Atlanta and go somewhere like Ackworth or Noonan, Georgia, and it's like not the same friendly, fun environment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like, so I work for a large software company based in San Francisco, California. And so I have a lot of friends that have lived in California their whole lives. And they say to me things like, hey, why don't you come to a more progressive city, more progressive state? But I love the prospect of being able to change hearts and minds. Yes, we're in a blue city within a red state, but I love the idea of being able to be, it's not easy to kind of be that banner gay, right? Like that person that, oh, you're gay, let me get to know you because I've never met somebody like you. But
one of you,
right.
One of you people.
I love the prospect of being able to change hearts and minds because people in California and San Francisco may not be able to do that because that's the norm,
And then he can also spend the 2 weeks that he normally does every year at the Folsom Street.
Exactly.
It works out great for Bennett.
Helmut, do you have anything to add?
No, I just agree. I'm from Texas. I've lived all over the world, actually, and I've been many places. There are lots of other challenging parts of the world to be gay. I'm glad that I'm in a city where I can be. I do think it's harder here than in other cities, like Zach was, than it was mentioning. And I think the reality is that's the beauty of being here. We also have a lot of racial tension issues that other cities don't have. And we get to either be a part of the solution or the problem. And I prefer the solution, and part of that's why we're here with the Gateway Dose.
Awesome.
Well
Awesome.
said.
Great. So yeah, to move on to more about the Gaily Dose, what makes this podcast different than from other podcasts out there, particularly podcasts that deal with the LGBTQ community and gay men?
I think we're just simply non-filtered. We have true conversations as we would if it were just us in a living room with some wine and what have you. So it's just us not trying to put on airs, just being genuine with one another. And I think that translates to who we're wanting to reach. And the end of each episode that we have, Dante kind of reaches out and says, have your own. We, would like for you to continue this subject onward. And he'll tell you more about that.
Yes. What's so beautiful about our podcast, and that makes it different than a lot of others, we try to have conversations that range from just your everyday funny, more cliche topics and things that are just so taboo that you would be sometimes a little bit more afraid to talk about. And because we have developed this like nice bond and friendship, we're comfortable with each other. So our conversations inspire people to reach out within their networks. So my thing that I do at the end of every episode is called a call to Kiki. So my call to Kiki is basically inspiring people to use the framework that we set in place with our podcast episode to take it into their groups and their communities to expand this newfound, I'm not going to call it knowledge because we're not professors, but this newfound love about a topic they may have once been scared to approach.
I also think what makes this really different is the fact that we are not afraid to be authentic, and we're also not going out of our way to be vulgar or to talk about things that are just sexual topics. Our topics range from dating to apps to, sometimes we do hit on sex, but it's not the focus of our podcast, which I think makes us very different in that realm. We try to be as authentic as possible and have those conversations that gay men just don't have, even with super close friends.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps growing up in rural Georgia, again, with very Christian, in a very Christian environment, kind of very judgmental, and what it takes for a person to overcome that and that self-loathing that is kind of instilled at an early age.
Yeah.
Really kind of touching on things. That was my favorite episode. So I look forward to everyone.
Yeah. The only thing I'd add,
it starts off really light with my
yeah, really easy.
Some feedback on that. So we really go there. So like Bennett was saying, some things that are lighthearted, but really some things that can affect you a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna add on top of that, that going deep and getting there. I think that's part maybe of why we're also uniquely from Atlanta. Each of us have a spiritual, religious background that we've let go of some of that, but we've retained the need and the desire for spiritual connection regardless. I think that's partially the Atlanta or the South influence. And the other thing I'd say is that, a lot of the other podcasts in our category are either they're informational, historic, or they're sensational and sexual. And like Bennett said, we're really trying to be everyday, but be deep and real as we kind of a lot of people are disconnected by tech. They're not talking. Right, we're all on media, and we're not really engaging each other as we could.
Yeah.
So Dante has his call to Kiki, which invites the listener's friend group to kind of participate in something similar to what we do on our podcast. And then I have Bennett's Minute, which is kind of another reason why I think we are different than other podcasts is we give people a way to have a vision of what we think the gay community should be in the future, which is amazing. It's something that I've never seen before because I talk about mental health and next steps and we always talk about what we would like to see for our children and our children's children, and what our culture, what kind of cultural changes we would like to see. And so that's something I think is very rare and very different from how we differentiate from other podcasts.
Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of working to make this podcast transformational in a way, where you're trying to really enact change and difference in the community, which is amazing. Awesome. So you kind of answered this, Stuart. I would like to talk about the topics y'all are going to discuss specifically that you have planned or you've already recorded, and what you each are most excited about, and what you each think is the most important to talk about, or the most, maybe the least breached, societally. I'm just interested to see what y'all specifically are interested in talking about.
Did you want to talk about the fur coat that you wore all night long at my house when we had to kick people out? That was interesting.
That was like
just a whole different side story. We need to put that in.
The anal douching topic. I think that
was deep.
Standout. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's so funny, because the team, honestly, they have something that they're excited to go down, and I'm probably the most conservative in the group. I'm like, oh, I don't want to.
But we had the guy from Johns Hopkins here. So.
Talking about the different topics we've done so far, the ones I know we're going to do, I think the ones that are most intriguing and interesting are the ones we're always most afraid to talk about. The society may deem as like taboo. So talking about religion, people always want to skirt around it. But when you have those honest and vulnerable conversations about things like religion or masculinity and femininity, those things evoke emotion in people, and it really makes you have an intrinsic take on life. And you really start thinking more about, like, how can you be more genuine about your existence and your reality?
Absolutely. I think one of my favorites was, we talked about how relationships are evolving in this generation. And the reason I love that is because I've talked to straight women about this, and straight men, and they're like, we agree, it doesn't have to be that traditional, marriage with just one person, one-to-one monogamy thing. There's always some kind of gray area in relationships, and that's something people don't talk about. So I think that was a really, really cool topic.
Awesome.
I do kind of like the more maybe more boring topics. They are. I like talking about the workplace. I like adoption, or things that are I guess it's boundaries that we set on, that we share with our straight community, that we have a very different experience in. So I love where we sort of meet the straight world, and where we're trying to maybe still progress ourselves forward. Those conversations are really fun to me.
And I'll also say this: if you notice, we tried to be as diverse as a group as possible. There's a lot of intersectionality with us. Yes, we are all gay men. Some of us are more on the more feminine spectrum. Some are more on the masculine spectrum. We have Caucasian, we have Latinx, we have Black, we have different age groups, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old. So I think with that, it's just a perfect mix of trying to get different perspectives, because that is so important, not only as a podcast, but I also think in life. I work for a company that embraces having different voices in the room, because they see that as a strength. They see that as we're covering all of our bases. We have different varying perspectives in the room. And so I believe that in that 100% professionally, personally, and for this podcast.
Stuart, do you have anything to add?
I think that really says it all. I like everything that we've said. I do think that some of the episodes, like when we discuss Helmut's favorite type of soup, that we cut those kinds out. But just to say ditto to whatever everyone said.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, I've got one more question for you, and it is a brief one. If you could describe the Gaily Dose with one word, what would it be?
Unique. To me.
I'd say excellent.
I would say invigorating.
Trailblazing.
Awesome. Love those. Those are all great. All right. Well, that is all my questions for y'all. Do y'all have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to tell people that are listening? I know, Helmut, you mentioned a Kickstarter. If you would like to discuss that a little further.
Yeah, we're super excited because we have, you can go to thegateofdose.com and you can learn there how to support us. We have an ability for you to join our texting list to help with our launch, or you can follow there, thegailydose.com/Kickstarter. We're raising money through December 1st to really, eyeballs. So we need that money to help us get more eyeballs and to help us help more lives.
Yep. And one last thing for me, we're also on all social media. It's at the Gaily Dose Pod, and you can also see all of our Instagram handles on the screen.
That's on the World Wide Web.
All right,
www.thegailydose.com.
Right, awesome.
.net.com.
Gotcha. All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for talking with me today. The first episode of the Gaily Dose debuts November 17th, wherever you find your podcasts. And you can learn more about the Gaily Dose at, like we said, www.thegailydose.com.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.